Hello and welcome to the Good Enough Club. I just got back from a big book sale over here in Jefferson County, Colorado, and let's see what I ended up finding. So the sale itself, it's billed as the largest used book sale in Colorado, and I would say it's pretty big, pretty similar in size to the Boise Public Library's book sale that I've also been to. They had it all sorted out kind of in the usual way, hardback fiction, paperback fiction, nonfiction by cookbooks and self-help and all the things. They also had a rare and old book section, so let's go ahead and start there. I did find 2 books, and they're nice enough to wrap them in plastic because the weather was a little crummy looking today. So the first one is this older copy of Black Beauty, which is something I collect, and this one's just really fun. This one is from 1945, so I think I've seen this one floating around other places, but I never had a copy, so now I do, and I'm not like a super collector of them by any means, but if I'm at a sale, then I will see what I can find, and that is copy number 5 that I have. The other one I got was this one. It is Roy Rogers and the Ghost of Mystery Rancho, and it's not necessarily because I'm like a huge Roy Rogers fan per se, but I do have some old Roy Rogers, Dale Evans toys that were my grandma's that she passed down to me, so I thought it'd be fun to pick up a book to add to that little collection. Next, let's just go ahead and dive into fiction. I kind of got a mix of hardbacks, paperbacks. I did get some classics that I don't have. Some of them I have read, some of them I have not, but I probably should have. I never read them in whatever class I was in high school. A lot of the other ones are just popular fiction that I have read, or they are on my list, or I saw them and I was like, I think this is on my TBR. So I went ahead and picked up a copy. One is Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. I've had 2 copies of this before. One I lent to a friend, and they had it for a long time, and it's like their favorite book now, and they ended up giving me a different copy in return. I think the one I had lent to them got a little beat up, so they gave me a new copy, but then when I moved, I was like, I can just get another copy of this wherever I end up, because like I saw at the sale, there are a million of these floating around. I read one of his other books, Into the Wild, which was really good. And if you have read that one, I would recommend also reading the Sisters book. It gives a lot of perspective about what Jon Krakauer could talk about in Into the Wild and kind of what the reality of the situation was. So if you read one, definitely read the other, because it gives you a better idea of what the story really is. Another one that I haven't read but probably should have, Catcher in the Rye. There were a million copies of this as well, so I went ahead and got one with a cover that I liked and that was in the best shape. And it's I don't even know that it's been read. It smells like it sat on somebody's shelves for a long time, but the spine is in great condition. Next is one that I did read, John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, and I read this one my junior year of high school, and I remember enjoying it. Next we have Dubliners by James Joyce. I've never read a James Joyce, and it's a little intimidating. So I figured, I will give this a go, and if I like his writing style, maybe I'll read more of his stuff. If I don't, then, I'm only out $1. Another one that I haven't read but should have by this point is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I have read 1984 back in my freshman year of undergrad. This copy is well loved. It's got a little sprayed edge, which is fun, and somebody else's notes all in there, which I don't mind in this scenario. That's totally fine. I'll be curious to see what was important to them. It very well could be a Charlotte Larson. So thanks in advance, Charlotte, for your notes. One that I've been seeing a couple of people talk about on BookTube is one that I figured I should probably also pick up, and that is Sula by Toni Morrison. I don't think I've read any Toni Morrison, so I need to fill that gap. So we're gonna give that one a go. This is one that was one of my favorite books. I think it was my favorite book of like the year it came out, like 2017, I guess it would be 2018. And that is Educated by Tara Westover. I listened to the audiobook when it came out. I don't know when I will reread this, but it's one that I enjoyed so much. It was literally my favorite book that year, so I want it on my shelf because what if I do want to read it again? This is one that I'm not sure that I will love. It is The High Mountains of Portugal by Jan Martel, and Life of Pi is one of my favorite books of all time. I read his other book, Beatrice and Virgil and Beatrice, something like that, and I didn't love it. But we're gonna give this one a go and see if it is more like the one I didn't like or the one that I really did. This is one that I read right after it came out. I listened to the audiobook and I enjoyed it. I don't actually own any of this author's books, but I think I've read all of them. Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid is an author that I will probably always read whenever she has a book come out. I did look up the other day and see if she has anything in the works, and she specifically said that she does not because she is kind of needing a break, which makes sense. She's puts a lot of work into her stories, and she's been popping one out like every year for a hot minute. So good for her. Take a break, then come back and write more good stuff. This next book in my hand is one that I loved and I read quite a while ago, but it's one that I recommend to people at the library on a semi-regular basis, and that book is Great Circle by Maggie Shipstead. Really good. You know, it's one of the, I will admit, I'm one of those people that will read a book and then forget all about it, basically, within not that long, 24 hours, a week. And this is one of those books. I remember more that I really loved it and that was meaningful, but what all those things were, couldn't tell you anymore. So hopefully this is one that I'll get to reread at some point in the future, and now I have this really nice copy. Next we have The Lost Painting, The Quest for a Caravaggio Masterpiece by Jonathan Harr. I don't know that I would say I'm an art buff, but I do love going to museums and seeing different works and knowing the stories behind them. So this will be really cool. I don't know that I've read anything else by this author, but I think it might be on my TBR for the year as kind of like a backlist item. Okay, we only have 2 left. I did a really good job. I only filled 1 bag of books, and not even all the way. Some of these do have like big ol' stickers on them. This one specifically was part of like a book club bag where our library system, you can get a bag of the same book for your book club and has 10 copies in it. So look into that, see if your public library has that as well. It is The Guide by Peter Heller, and I have read 2 of his other books. I read The Dog Stars and finished that when I was on my honeymoon in Greece a couple years ago. And then I listened to The River. Is that true? Yes. And this is one that I've seen put on display at the library a couple times, and I'm like, oh, I should pick that up and read it. I'm sure I'll enjoy it. He's such an interesting storyteller. And then I obviously haven't. So I picked up this physical copy because I saw it, and we'll see how it is. And the final book in this group is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And I have another one of his books, 100 Years of Solitude, also haven't read it. So now I will have options for when I want to read one of his books, then I can choose from either of them, right? It's a little intimidating because the font is very small, but I'm sure it's great. I think this was actually the answer to a trivia question at trivia night a couple years ago. So anyway, those are all of the books that I picked up at Whale of a Sale this year. And in case you're curious, I paid a total of, I think, $36. Is that right? Yeah, $36 for all of those, which, seeing as something like Great Circle to buy it brand new would be 29 bucks. This copy sold for $29 originally. And there you have it. I think that's a pretty good deal. Well, this is the second book sale that I've been to this year, and the other one was up in Longmont. They had a good sale as well. So keep an eye out for your public library. You can ask at the desk and see if they're gonna do a book sale this spring or summer. I guess we're almost to summer. It's a good way to buy books that you wouldn't normally pay full price for, but you're interested in having on your shelf because you've already read and you loved it, or you want to give it a try, or maybe you're just need a bunch of books to make your house look pretty. That's also fine. Ask your public library. There's probably a Friends of the Public Library that is near you that take donations. So if you also want to contribute to the sale and weed your shelf a little bit, then give them a go and send in your donations. Thank you for watching The Good Enough Club, and go support your public library. Bye. It is The Guide by Jonathan Heller, by Peter Heller. Why am I thinking Jonathan? Because I just saw Jonathan.